Only at Arby's.
The Ramsey interview, plus the woman formerly known as Sable on ET.
Anti-American protests and riots break out in Greece today as President Clinton arrives there from Turkey under tight security. Solving the Egypt air crash mystery, investigators are now trying to break the language and political barriers. And countdown to 2000, the experimental new drugs that could keep cancer in check in the 21st century.
This is the CBS Evening News. With Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. President Clinton says he welcomes dissent and passionate debate in the world's oldest democracy. This was said as the president and his family went under heavy guard tonight in Athens on a brief visit to Greece that was delayed and shortened because of security worries. Earlier, anti-American demonstrators battled with police as the Clintons arrived. CBS News Chief White House correspondent John Roberts is traveling with the first family.
Anarchy ruled the streets tonight in the city where democracy was born. 10,000 protesters, fueled by decades of anti-American sentiment, had tried to march to the U.S. Embassy. When they were stopped by riot police under orders not to let them near, a group of anarchists broke ranks and trashed shops in a fashionable Athens neighborhood. The violence erupted just as President Clinton touched down at Athens airport. To a far more receptive crowd of invited guests, he said he was here as a friend of Greece.
And I look forward to experiencing that wonderful quality of Greek hospitality.
The Greeks knew this was coming and had asked the White House to postpone this trip for almost a week to give them time to get better prepared. But demonstrators who see this visit as a provocation weren't about to miss an opportunity to send the government and Mr. Clinton a very loud message.
This visit couldn't have come at a worse time. 2 days ago, protesters made their annual march to the American Embassy, marking the anniversary of a 1973 crackdown on pro-democracy students by the Greek military. They still blame the U.S. for supporting the generals who ordered it. Add to that simmering anger from the NATO bombardment of Serbia, which Greeks perceived as an attack on their fellow Orthodox Christians.
Mr. President, do you have anything to say to the protesters, sir?
Mr. Clinton says he is not worried by the demonstrations, but security concerns are evident in empty streets, blockaded until the president leaves. Protesters vow to push past those barriers and air their grievances on the international stage. John Roberts, CBS News, Athens.
In the deepening mystery that is the case of Egypt Air 990, investigators from the United States and Egypt marshaled their best experts and technology, but much of what they said in public today was couched in politics and diplomacy. CBS's Bob Orr looks past that and has the latest facts.
Since Sunday, teams of translators have been working in this NTSB lab to decipher precisely what was said in the cockpit just before Egypt Air Flight 990 plunged into the Atlantic.
Right after the break. That's acceptable?
More Egyptian officials and translators now have joined the investigation after raising concerns that U.S. authorities seem to be rushing to a conclusion that co-pilot Gamil al-Batouti deliberately took the plane down.
It's a very good discussion, and some very serious work is going on.
While sensitive to diplomatic concerns, U.S. investigators are not backing off their pilot suicide theory. Most feel it's the only plausible scenario that fits the facts. The flight data recorder revealed no mechanical or structural problem with the Boeing 767, and it showed the co-pilot continued pushing the jet into its fatal plunge, even as the pilot tried to save it. And then there's the matter of al-Batouti's prayer. Sources say just seconds before the dive, al-Batouti can be heard repeating a prayer, translated as, "I put my faith in God's hands." NTSB Chairman Jim Hall today would not confirm the contents of the cockpit voice recorder, but said unauthorized leaks are making it harder for investigators to solve the crash.
We won't get there on a road paved with leaks, suppositions, speculation, and spin.
NTSB and law enforcement investigators for days now have suspected that a crime may have been committed. But with the delicate diplomatic dance now playing itself out in Washington, a transfer of this investigation to the FBI at the moment does not appear imminent. Dan?
Bob Orr. The bonfire logs were cleared away today, and the fenced-off field became an instant shrine at the scene of the deadly collapse at Texas A&M. A&M University officials are beginning an inquiry into how and why the tower of logs suddenly toppled and crushed the victims. CBS's Maureen Maher is on the scene.
As crews cleared away the final remnants that once made up the bonfire stack, all that remained were the questions as to what brought it down, killing 11 Texas A&M students. The final 2 bodies were pulled from the woodpile early this morning, allowing investigators to move away the debris and look into the structure for the cause.
They heard a pop, perhaps like a wire, cable or something snapped, whatever it was, and suddenly a complete falling straight down of the stack.
The bonfire stack is anchored by a 65-foot center pole buried 10 feet deep. The logs are then bound in 4s and stacked 6 tiers high. Alex Jones was between the 1st and 2nd tier.
I remember seeing people fall into it, white faces. I never made any eye contact, but I'm sure mine was just as white as theirs was, and I heard screams and I heard crying.
The students were building the 4th tier when the accident occurred. Those on and around it say at first the structure listed, then within seconds it collapsed.
I can feel my heart just in my throat, beating pretty hard. I landed awkwardly on some logs, and about 4 landed across my back and my legs.
Officials here at Texas A&M University have appointed a task force comprised of both staff and independent engineers to investigate the accident. But of equal and immediate concern is how to handle a grieving student body 42,000 strong. Today, campus flags flew at half-staff, and students laid flowers in honor of the 11, including sophomore Nathan West.
Great guy, loved bonfire. Came out here as much as he could, did all kinds of work, and he was on the wrong side of bonfire when it went over.
And senior Jeremy Frampton.
Away from bonfire, he is an incredible person. I mean, we go hunting together, we go fishing together. He is a great friend.
Besides those killed, several are still hospitalized, with 3 on life support.
Lord, please watch over the families, and especially the Aggie family, as we go through this hard time.
A family that pledges to remember the 11 they have lost and prays for those who are still clinging to life, all in the name of tradition. Maureen Maher, CBS News, College Station, Texas.
There has been another school shooting incident, this time at a middle school in Deming, New Mexico. A 12-year-old girl was shot and critically wounded by a male classmate at lunchtime. The accused shooter is said to be in custody. The motive not immediately known. Still ahead, on the Friday CBS Evening News, the aftermath of the worst hurricane ever this late in the season. The experimental drugs that could be the answer to cancer in the coming century. And the Blair Watch Project. Britons expecting the unexpected.
Tylenol House Call. Information for healthy living.
It's like a drum.
Like a hammer. I snap at everybody.
My kids know to stay away.
It's one of our most common medical conditions, a headache. What triggers a headache? Too much caffeine, too little sleep, stress or anger, even changes in the weather. The next time you get a headache, here's some simple things that might help. Try applying heat or cold to the area, massaging the neck to relax the muscles, or simply taking a walk or nap. If you're one of the millions of people who rely on over-the-counter medicines, you should know that the pain reliever doctors recommend most is Tylenol. In fact, physicians recommend Tylenol more than all other brands combined.
When my headache goes away, I'm me again.
By the way, keeping a headache diary can help you determine if food, weather, or mood contributes to your headache pattern. For more information about headaches, visit Tylenol.com.
Tylenol House Call is brought to you by Extra Strength Tylenol.
Open wide, it's Frisky's Dental Diet. A Frisky cat's too busy having fun to worry about dental hygiene. That's why there's Frisky's Dental Diet. It helps reduce plaque and tartar buildup by 25%. What a meal! Frisky's Dental Diet.
Enterprise? Hi, my car's out of commission, so I'm out of commission.
Enterprise will arrange to pick you up.
This is great.
Drive you to our place and get you on your way. Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
The late-season big storm called Lenny pounded the northeast Caribbean with more torrential rain and more misery today, even as it was officially downgraded from a hurricane to a tropical storm. St. Martin was hit for hours on end before Lenny crawled toward other islands on a once-in-a-century hurricane track running from west to east. A NASA weather satellite captured the rampage through the Caribbean. What you can't see from space is the massive destruction on the ground, including 8 dead and beaches stripped of sand. And there is post-hurricane high drama offshore, multiple rescue efforts at sea. CBS News correspondent Jim Axelrod has that part of the story on the Weather Watch.
On any normal day, a 560-foot freighter run aground with 17,000 gallons of gasoline would be the Coast Guard's biggest problem. But in the Caribbean, there is nothing normal about today.
It's still very significant, of course, but it doesn't have quite the emotional impact that trying to save people's lives does.
In San Juan, home of the Coast Guard station responsible for the Caribbean, they've gone round the clock for 3 straight days, responding to distress signals from boats Hurricane Lenny has caught at sea.
We should have about anywhere from 10 to a dozen of them plotted right now.
10 to 12 calls for help. Exactly how many boats, how many people, they've got no idea. The Coast Guard was haunted by one rescue effort in particular. It's a heartbreaking story. 2 Americans on a 42-foot sailboat trapped by the hurricane. They radio for help, say they're about to abandon ship. They're then patched through to their wives at home to say goodbye.
Well, obviously, the first thing you want to do is help them. And it's very frustrating when you can't.
6019 will be getting airborne from St. Thomas en route to Bravo 6 area.
This afternoon, a glimmer. A radio beacon distress call is picked up. A helicopter is dispatched to Dutch St. Martin. Then the glimmer went dark.
The Navy helicopter actually landed after we got permission from the Dutch authorities, but they're not able to find anything, not able to see anything.
Not every rescue will end successfully. In fact, for the Coast Guard, the worry is tonight, this might be the only one. Jim Axelrod, CBS News, San Juan, Puerto Rico.
CBS News national security correspondent David Martin reports the Pentagon is close to a deal that would allow the U.S. Navy to resume training, at least temporarily, on the Puerto Rican island of Vieques. The Navy and Marines have used the island for live-fire training exercises, but it's been occupied by demonstrators since last April when a stray bomb killed a Puerto Rican worker. Correspondent Martin says the new deal would allow the military to train with inert bombs that don't explode. On the CBS Market Watch, a surprise development today in the government's antitrust suit against Microsoft. The trial judge appointed a mediator in the hope that the case perhaps can be settled out of court. On Wall Street, stock prices closed mixed this day. The Dow lost 31, the Nasdaq gained 22 to close at its 42nd record high this year. Straight ahead on the CBS Evening News, a presidential hopeful playing defense on foreign affairs.
There's my husband, Nolan Ryan, still throwing heat. Can you believe he's got arthritis? You see, Nolan's doctor says the best way to control arthritis pain is to keep moving. And to make it easier, he recommends Advil. Nothing's been proven stronger on arthritis pain, yet it's gentle on his stomach. In fact, I take Advil for my arthritis pain. That way, we can exercise together.
Advil, stronger than pain.
The hot flashes got pretty bad. Night sweats were ruining my sleep. Vaginal dryness made intimacy uncomfortable, and I was worried that estrogen loss at menopause could lead to osteoporosis, a long-term health problem. Menopause is complicated. Talking to my doctor helped. For me, she prescribed Prempro. It's relieving my uncomfortable symptoms, and along with calcium and exercise, helping prevent osteoporosis.
Prempro is only for women who have not had a hysterectomy. Prempro is not for every woman. You should not take Prempro if you've had any breast or uterine cancer, abnormal vaginal bleeding, abnormal blood clotting, liver or heart disease, stroke, or if you think or know you are pregnant. Tell your doctor about your personal and family medical history. Side effects include blood clots, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, breast tenderness, irregular bleeding, and headache. For more information, talk to your doctor about Prempro or call.
I'm glad my doctor prescribed Prempro. Now I'm feeling great. For me, it's Prempro.
Look at all these laxatives. They all contain stimulants. That one says it may cause cramps. Only Phillips is stimulant-free. Nothing's more effective, nothing safer.
So I've heard. Phillips, safe, effective relief without harsh stimulants.
This delicious green bean casserole is not the only way to enjoy French's French fried onions. Even standard spice Let's become a savory side dish.
At the head of his cooking class.
Smile, you've got friendship.
7 weeks late, the U.S. Senate cleared the last hurdles to final congressional passage tonight of the federal budget. It's a $385 billion spending measure. The budget was hammered out after months of stalemate and dueling agendas between President Clinton and congressional Republicans. Republican presidential frontrunner George W. Bush went to the Ronald Reagan Library in California today to set out his views on foreign policy and America's place in the world. The speech, having been leaked 24 hours ahead to selected journalistic enterprises, was closely watched nonetheless because of Bush's recent stumbles on international affairs. CBS's Bill Whitaker reports.
It was a pointed speech on a thorny issue for George W. Bush. He staked out a foreign policy tougher than the Clinton administration on Russia's military action in Chechnya.
When the Russian government attacks civilians, killing women and children, it can no longer expect aid from international lending institutions.
He shunned the isolationism of some in his own party and held a tough line on China.
China is a competitor, not a strategic partner.
With Republican foreign policy heavyweights for support, this clearly was to establish the Texas governor as a serious player on the international stage, and to counter the impression he's a lightweight that has dogged him ever since he failed a reporter's foreign policy pop quiz recently.
And the Prime Minister of India?
The new Prime Minister of India is, no.
With voters in approaching primaries just now beginning to focus on this race, George W. Bush hasn't come into sharp focus for many of them, and he can't afford to be defined by any shortcomings.
George Bush has something to prove, and mainly he has to prove it to the media and to the pundits. And it's this, that he is not the Dan Quayle of foreign affairs.
Condoleezza Rice, Governor Bush's respected chief foreign policy advisor, says his strong suit in foreign affairs as in national affairs is his record and judgment.
He hasn't spent the last 10 years at the Council on Foreign Relations attending seminars because he's been governor, and before that he was building a business. But he's got all the right characteristics, all the right instincts.
Yet with his shaky foreign affairs record, he'll have hard work to convince voters his grasp of the issue is more than one speech deep. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Simi Valley, California.
Up next on CBS, the Health Watch, 21st century cancer treatment. It's already being tested.
My joints felt stiff. And then I tried Osteo-Biflex, a special blend of glucosamine and chondroitin. Over time, it helped renew my life.
Osteo-Biflex. Repair, rebuild, renew cartilage.
Winter means dry skin. As a pharmacist, I know that the best therapeutic lotion for dry skin is Curel.
Curel moisturizes better than any leading therapeutic lotion.
It just heals dry skin better.
You can see the cure in Curel.
Oh, Mom, it's great. My first apartment. You should see it. It's huge.
When you've got things to talk about, it's a good idea to dial 10-10-321 first.
And I had a great view of the river.
With 10-10-321, you get 50% off calls over 10 minutes. That's just 8 cents a minute, day or night, and no monthly fees. And at 50% off, you can share every last detail.
And I even have a garden.
Talk as long as you want with 10-10-321.
Well, all right. Tailor-made Energel ball. Explosive distance, soft feel. I found them online and at 25 retail stores.
StoreRunner.com has shopping experts in every conceivable field, like Mark Anderson in sporting goods.
Ooh, Dunlop double titanium ball and a Callaway Hawkeye titanium driver. Am I right?
StoreRunner.com. Log on, let's shop.
$69.99.
What are you looking at, cable? Shh, it's just getting good.
3 minutes a week.
Ah, DirecTV. Hey, everybody. This is Tim. Look, DirecTV's got all your favorite cable channels. Plus, now you get 2 free months of 32 premium movie channels, including 7 HBO, 4 Stars, and 5 Showtime channels with no long-term commitment. DirecTV. What are you looking at?
Tonight on the CBS Health Watch, we give you a look at 21st century prospects for better, more effective ways to fight one of the most intransient medical scourges of the 20th century, cancer in all of its various forms. CBS's Elizabeth Caledon takes you to the cutting edge of cancer treatment on the countdown to 2000.
Oh, he's got speed.
He complains that he's not as fast as he used to be, but it was less than a year ago that Yuli Kippervarg, just 33 years old, embarked on the race of his life against advanced colon cancer.
I had a lot of doubts whether I was going to make it, and how long I was going to live.
Having just started his own career as a doctor, Yuli knew the odds. His only real hope, an experimental drug called SU-5416.
SU-5416, being tested here at UCLA's Johnson Cancer Center, is only one of about 40 angiogenesis inhibitors now in development. Doctors believe these drugs have the potential to be the cancer fighters of the future.
The theory behind this new class of drugs is that tumors need to create new blood vessels to grow, a process known as angiogenesis. The idea is that if drugs can inhibit or stop the new blood vessels, they can starve the cancer, stop it from growing, maybe even shrink the tumor. For 7 months, Yuli has been getting SU-5416 twice a week in combination with chemotherapy.
I feel extremely lucky to be here at this time because 5 years ago, 3 years ago, this was not even an option.
This is a CAT scan of Yuli's belly.
Dr. Lee Rosen oversees UCLA's experimental cancer therapy program and Yuli's progress.
And is this a complete remission? Would you say his cancer has gone away?
Yes, he's had a couple of other lymph nodes, too, that are shown elsewhere on the scans, and all of them have completely gone away and stayed away.
Meanwhile, patients at Boston's Dana-Farber Cancer Institute have just entered the first clinical trials of endostatin, one of the most talked about angiogenesis inhibitors. And at university hospitals in Cleveland, Gail Gordon is pinning her hopes on another drug, cumbretistatin.
Okay, lights out time. We got your medication.
This compound is so sensitive to light, Gail gets her treatment sitting in the dark.
It's just, hopefully, it's just saving my life, because I have so many things to live for.
She survived breast cancer, only to learn she had colon cancer. 4 surgeries, chemotherapy, and radiation failed. But after 7 months of receiving only cumbretistatin, Dr. Scott Remick says Gail's cancer has stabilized.
Before we cure cancer, we might be more on the threshold of really making cancer a chronic illness or a chronic disease that can be medically managed. And that might be where these drugs will have a big role in terms of just keeping tumors in check.
But it's cases like Clayton Twiggs that make doctors think these drugs may have the power to even cure. CAT scans show that after 9 months on cumbretistatin, Twiggs' thyroid cancer is completely gone.
It meant for all practical purposes that his tumor had disappeared.
Clayton and his wife Rose credit the new drug with giving them a future together they had just about given up on.
It's helped me, and hopefully it's going to help others. They're just scratching the surface. We don't know yet.
Remick is careful to call Clayton Twiggs' case extraordinary. And back in Los Angeles, Dr. Rosen says it's too soon to tell if Yuli Kippervarg's cancer will stay in remission. But in the same breath, these doctors admit angiogenesis inhibitors are the groundwork for beating cancer early in the next century.
Can we say that these drugs are our next best hope?
Sitting in 1999, yeah. I think we can say that they're among our next best hopes.
It's hope in the future, where in the past there had been no hope at all. For CBS News, I'm Elizabeth Caledon for Countdown to 2000.
We invite you to join us on this broadcast Monday when the CBS Health Watch will report to you about research on genetic medicines tailor-made just for you on an individual basis that may treat, even prevent cancer in the next century. Next up, diapers on Downing Street, a surprise for the year 2000.
Want to color your gray hair and get a natural look? It's easy with Just for Men.
You look so natural, no one can tell with Just for Men. No one can tell with Just for Men.
Simply shampoo in Just for Men, and in 5 minutes, rinse. Just for Men blends away gray. The gray is gone, matched up to the rest of your hair.
You look so natural, no one can tell with Just just for men.
Here's your regular internet homepage, and here's i1.com. It's free. You use it like Yahoo, Excite, or other search engines. Only i1.com gives away $10,000 every day, $1 million a month, and $10 million on tax day. Which one would you choose?
If my friend used this at work secretly and she won, would her boss get the money?
No, your friend would get the money.
It's good to know.
Introducing i1.com. Why wouldn't you?
This is the face of erectile dysfunction. So is this. And this. Fact is, 1 in 3 men have some form of ED, a medical condition also called impotence that affects men of every age, race, and background. What else do all these men have in common? They all faced up to their problem and got help. If you're experiencing ED, there's no need to hide your face. Just talk to your doctor. It's the best way to get educated about ED and how to treat it.
What should you do if you're having a heart attack? First, call an ambulance, then take Bayer aspirin. Now, Bayer may help stop you from dying when taken during a heart attack. Talk to your doctor now. Bayer, powerful pain relief, and so much more.
Max is a mighty dog. That's why he gets new Mighty Dog carved beef and gravy. Tender slices and savory gravy to give Max all the energy he needs. New Mighty Dog carved beef and carved beef with pasta. Mighty Dog from Friskies.
A once-in-a-century event is unfolding in Great Britain. The last British Prime Minister to father a child while in office was Lord John Russell in 1848. Prime Minister Tony Blair is now set to be the next, as CBS's Mark Phillips reports.
Tony and Cherie Blair can normally go out for dinner on a Friday night without this sort of attention. Not tonight, because Tony and Cherie, already the proud parents of 3, are expecting another. How he, 46 and with the country to run, and she, 45, a busy lawyer, found the time is the question of the day here. But the romantic charms of last summer's Mediterranean vacation seem to have been too much to resist. The baby's due in May. A 45-year-old career woman expecting a child is not on its own news these days, but in the absence of the usual British diet of society gossip and scandal, the surprise pregnancy of the Prime Minister's wife is the next best thing.
We can now talk about Cherie, babies, nappies, and we should have a lot of fun.
Cherie Blair once seemed shocked at being in the media spotlight. Now she'll have to get used to the bookies taking bets on the baby's name, even its gender. They're calling it the Witch Blair Project. Mark Phillips, CBS News, London.
And that's part of our world tonight. Senator John McCain, candidate for the Republican presidential nomination, will be Bob Schieffer's guest this Sunday morning on Face the Nation. Now from 60 Minutes, Steve Croft.
Is Cancun more of a haven for cocaine coming into the United States than it is a haven for tourists coming from the United States? And is Carol Burnett still as much fun at 66 as she was at 26? 60 Minutes Sunday.
And we hope you'll join us again Monday for the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting from CBS News World Headquarters in New York. Have a great weekend. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the internet and on our interactive partner, America Online, at keyword CBS News.